Who was anime? Um, I just watched a movie called Come True, and I want to talk about it. Impromptu, dog, because I had other stuff ahead of this. Under the Skin was supposed to come before this, but that'll be up soon. Um, there are two major themes from this movie that I want to touch on. But the first thing I'll say is that whoever wrote this movie definitely studied psychology, because there's Jungian aspects, Carl Jung, and also Cartesian aspects, so Descartes. Um, Philosophy, psychology and philosophy. Um, I'm not really gonna go into that too much because honestly, the symbolism is so thick, and I am not super studied or well versed in Jungian stuff specifically. So I feel like I probably, as far as the plot goes, it's kind of a loose plot. I mean, there is a plot to follow, but it's a loose plot, and I don't know enough about Jungian themes and shit like that to really be able to be like, oh, this means that, and that means this. But what I will say is that it is a good movie. You should watch it. It's a Shudder movie, but it's on Amazon. You may even be able to find it on Tubi. Anyway, the first kind of aspect about this movie that I want to touch on is for most of the movie, it's about sleep paralysis, and more specifically, what people refer to as sleep paralysis demons. Everyone's experience is different, just generally speaking, and that applies to dreams also. But I have this feeling that there's something else to that than those entities, or that entity being a demon. Also, has anyone ever had more than one sleep paralysis entity at a time? Like two or three in the same room with you? Because that's not something that I've heard of or seen. Anytime I've had experience with that, it's been one, and it won't come near me. It peeks. I call it the peeker. It stands in the doorway and peeks into the room. I told the story of one of the experiences that I had with the peeker in one of the dream shows. I don't think it was the first, one of the more recent ones. It might have been the very last dream show that I did. The episode 1, I guess it was called, because I'd done dream shows before that, but I hadn't really decided that I wanted to make it into a recurring theme. Speaking of which, I want to do another dream show. I keep saying that. No one has reached out. 2 people have said that they would do it, and understandably, backed out without really saying anything. I get that this can be, speaking, publicly can be nerve-wracking and stuff like that, so I didn't bother them. If they do, want to do it, I'm approachable, obviously. There's no reason for me to not be approachable, so they'll reach out to me. But I do want to do another dream show. I want to do a bunch of dream shows. So if you have a dream or dreams that are specific and significant, meaning they're not just like, you know, if you know what I mean, like in any sense, even if you just happen to think that it's something, hit me up, you know, and we'll figure out if it is. And if it is, I definitely want to have you on episode 2. I may just do an episode 2 by myself because I'm kind of tired of waiting. Anyway, also, yeah, if you have experiences with sleep paralysis entities specifically, and even more specifically, if you have had more than one at the same time, in the same room, like sharing the same space, like you can see multiple, please hit me up, because I really would like to look into that specific potentiality. I haven't seen or heard of that before, but you know, there are reasons that I don't know this, but something doesn't feel right about them being designated as demons. And I've heard lots of folklore and stories within my studies and research where they're called different things. Sometimes it's a dude with a hat with red eyes. Sometimes it's the old maid, right? The old maiden or something like that, or the witch. It sits on your chest, and but I wonder if these things are symbolism, because many beings have breathing issues or hyperventilating or something to that effect when they have this thing happen. And that's another aspect of it, is that there are physical things that happen within this phenomena, this experience, and most stories I've heard, I'm not convinced that the entity is actually touching them. I think that maybe within the excitement, they may get confused or kind of conflate things because they are dreaming, and maybe it's sitting on their chest, maybe it's not. Maybe they're just hyperventilating and it feels like something's sitting on their chest. But there's so many things I want to study, and that's for sure one of them. That's a shared phenomena that I have participated in. And so it's very different for me. It's not like sitting and kind of listening on the sidelines when people talk about astral travel and all that shit. This is something that I've experienced multiple times. And it's a very specific phenomena that's redundant. That's the thing that interests me the most, is that it is still subjective, the details of it, the events of the phenomena, but it is very redundant. Beings describe very similar experiences with this entity or these entities, and though I am well aware that I'm not going to get any kind of like objective answer of what they are or what it is or what is happening, just like with dreams, it is something that I would like to understand. Come True is essentially the story of some scientists doing that, studying dreams. And I won't go into the details of the movie, but I will say that they have in the movie they've created a device that allows them to film and see what you see in your dream. And the movie is well done. It's shot really, really well, and the dream sequences are sick. Very, very like Lovecraftian look to it. It's not a Lovecraftian movie. I wouldn't call it. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I could see someone calling this Lovecraftian, but it's not about fucking tentacles and shit, I love Lovecraft shit, though, even though he's a fucking racist piece of shit. He was, though. He's a racist piece of shit. yeah, the concept of these entities has always really kind of fascinated me, especially like, again, since I have that personal experience with it. And the most standout type of experience that I had was very, very, very vivid. Like, that's one of the closest. That I think that's one of the few times where I can say I maybe was kind of in between two different dimensions, because I don't know I don't know how conscious I was, but I'm almost positive that my eyes were open. And, the peeker is just, peeking in the bedroom, and I'm hyperventilating. And I got the feeling that I was hyperventilating, not because I was scared, but because it was doing something to me. Whether it be physically or energetically, I'm not sure. But it felt like it was doing something to me, And I'd like to interview some people about that, if nothing else, even if it's private, I don't just do videos for those that hear me ask about the dream stuff. I'll just interview you. If you are comfortable with the story being shared of one of your dreams or some of your dreams, but you'd rather me say it or me read it or something, send me your dream, email me your dream, gammaauobsidian@gmail.com. DM it to me on Instagram, same name, gammaauobsidian. Doesn't have to be you saying it. Not everyone wants to be public, and I get that. But yeah, very, very fascinating concept to me. And the reason I ask if anyone has seen more than one at the same time is because I kind of wonder if this is an egregore or some sort of deity that is responsible for myth and folklore. Obviously, there's been myths that have been created around it, but I'm trying to understand, like, directly what we're seeing now, not stories from the 1500s and 1600s, quote unquote 1500s and 1600s. I really don't fuck with history, bro. Yeah, but the movie's really, really cool, man. I'm not gonna go into the plot very much because there really isn't. There is a base plot, but it's not something, like as in with Suspiria, where I can go through the kind of story and that conveys to you the things that I'm trying to convey about it. I do wonder, initially, when that last experience had that I just very quickly, briefly described to you, there is technology, and not metaphysical technology. There's physical matter-based technology within this realm right now that could be responsible for that. And interestingly enough, there was a story attached to a picture that was shared long time ago, and I was telling someone about it, and they didn't really get what I meant, and I was doing a bad job of explaining it. I couldn't even really think of all the details of it, but I couldn't find it. I looked for the video and I couldn't find it. And how about yesterday it just pops up in my recommended. Call that whatever you want to fucking call it, but I just think that's weird. Whatever. If you think that's an overreaction, that's cool too, but I think it's very fucking weird. Especially like, I had put Come True in my like kind of queue of stuff to watch. I hadn't really planned on talking about it yet, but I put it in the queue to watch, and then that video pops up on YouTube. The movie's on Amazon, so thought that was weird. I know everything's kind of connected, but whatever, So yeah, I'm not really dreaming much right now anyway, so I'm not really too worried about the peeker. I'm not really worried about the peeker anyway. I would like to kind of get an idea if it's metaphysical or physical, metaphysical or material, but who knows, that type stuff. You never know if you're going to get any kind of answer at all, let alone a definitive one. Trying to think of more stuff to say about that specific aspect, but I think I got to move on to the next one. This might be a short video. The overall concept of dreams, and more specifically, the first thing I'll say is we don't know what those are, and in the group we've been talking about that lately. That I kind of put forward that and I say this all the time about all kinds of stuff. There are things that we assume to be what we've been taught they are, but we don't actually know that. We just think we know it because we've been taught it many times from a very young age. So that's no different for dreams. You may be 3 years old, 4 years old, and you have a dream and you don't really know what it is, and you remember it for the first time, and you go to your parents, and whether it was a good dream or a bad dream, you're very worked up, you're very excitable over it. And that's the first thing they're going to say to you is just a dream. It's okay, it's just a dream. And that theme, that answer is repeated to you over and over again. It's just a dream. And I've said before, not only do we not know if that is what that is, and the explanation that's attached that's been given to us by academia, but also, how do we know that this is not the dream? I'll probably repeat that every time I bring dreams up, potentially, because that's a very real question to me, and I've wondered it for years and years and years, well before I thought of talking publicly or really started taking research and studying and even experimentation seriously. Been wondering that since I was a kid. What if I'm dreaming right now? And one of my, not really fears, but kind of like momentary anxieties, what if I'm dreaming? What if I fell asleep and I'm just doing stuff in front of a group of people and I have no idea that I'm doing it, And that has grown to be, what if this is the dream, and when I'm, quote, dreaming, that's reality, because that I've had a sensation of that before. There are many scenarios that could be kind of applied to dreaming that don't match the common perception of it, and I think that's disturbing. I think it's kind of disturbing that that's not really discussed more often. Another aspect of the movie that I'll share, and it is a pretty big spoiler, so if you want to watch it, go watch the movie. The end of the movie is very interesting. The main character, she's asleep. She's been going through some tough shit the whole movie, and she ends up in the hospital, and she wakes up, or she doesn't wake up actually. She gets up and just starts walking, and she's asleep, so she's sleepwalking literally. The other main character notices that she's, gone, and panics. And when he finds her, she's in the parking garage of the hospital just walking. And as she leaves the parking garage, he tries to shake her awake. And when he, does that for a minute, she kind of yelps or screams. She yells. Yelps. That's a yelling yelp, I guess. That's corny. That's stupid. I apologize. Sort of. She kind of yells, and her eye starts to bleed, which is a injury from a previous scene, and she still doesn't wake up. So he realizes, oh shit, I could really like hurt her or fuck her shit up if I wake her up right now. So he lets her go, lets her shoulders go, and just lets her keep walking. And she keeps walking for a very long time. Like, it seems like, she walked from the hospital and ends up in a forest, like behind a neighborhood or something. And they have the device. They have a portable version of the device, and they've hooked her up to it. And they're watching what she's seeing as she's walking, as she's sleepwalking. This concept's so fucking cool. So apparently they're working on technology to be able to see our dreams. I think that already exists, and I think a lot more than that exists as far as dream technology goes. Obviously, they're talking about advertising for fucking McDonald's and shit in your dreams. So, I stand by my thought that I'm being blocked, I'm being kept from dreaming, because there's so much technology that has been made that we don't really get told about as far as like dream technology goes. Things that are fashioned in order to manipulate dreams, in order to see your dreams, in order to block you from dreaming, enhance your dreaming, give you the ability to lucid dream potentially. And as much of an unpopular opinion it may end up being, I wonder to myself when I hear people talking about like astral projection and going to the astrals, and I was on a mission in the astrals and all this stuff, I keep wondering to myself, most don't pay attention to technology or patents, which is why I started posting patents a week or two ago. I haven't posted any recently because it hasn't been lining up with any research that I'm doing currently. But I may actually go look for some of the patents that have to do with dream manipulation, because I really feel like that helps you all see that I'm not just talking, that I'm not just saying stuff, because I think there are a lot of beings that have channels and platforms like this, and they just kind of say stuff. Sometimes it's things that they've heard other beings say. Sometimes it's like stuff that they channel. Same thing there. But I think we're being heavily fucked with, by technology. And I know that could potentially suck to hear if you do that stuff, if you channel, or if you, do the astral travel stuff. And to be clear, I'm not saying that all astral travel is potentially technology or fake or anything. Because A, I'm not saying that any of it is fake. I'm just saying it could be different than what you think it is. But B, I do believe, when you listen to some talk about their out-of-body experiences or astral travels, the beginning of it, there is a redundancy there, I lifted out of my body, I turned around, I saw myself still sleeping. That's very, very uniform response as far as like the beginning of that experience goes. So same thing with the paralysis entities. That redundancy makes me, I'm not doubting at all. I just think that I know that there is technology that has been in existence for far longer than recent, than currently. Man, if I had to guess, I would say we probably are aware of like 15 to 25% of technology that is in existence. And that's probably high. That's probably shooting high. When you start to add, the unseen civilizations, like those that live below us, they have shit that has been in the past, but we don't have it now, So I really think we're aware of like a really, really, really fucking small percentage of technology, and that goes to all aspects. If you read some of the myths and the histories that are connected to whatever you want to call it, Hollow Earth, Agartha, Shambhala, all those crystal cities and underground civilizations and stuff, they, a lot of the time what you're told or what you're led to believe is vastly different from what it truly is. You know, I think that there are little hints at that too, like Jules Verne writing Journey to the Center of the Earth, and you know, all the way up to Jordan Peele writing Us. You know, what the fuck do you think Jordan Peele's saying with that movie? It's not necessarily just about clones. Everybody focused on the clone aspect of Us. That movie was really cool, and I get it. You know, they looked like us, so it was us. Yep. But also, did you read the beginning of the movie where he said there were hundreds, potentially thousands of miles of tunnels? Just tunnels. That's not even going into like towns and cities that are, you know, subterrestrial, like below us. And then you go and look at archaeological information and geological information, myth, and you know, religious text, constantly talking about underground civilizations. Why do you think we're not fucking allowed to go down? You know, I feel like we should all be very suspicious anytime we're not allowed to go into an area. Like, and a very similar thing goes for instance, the Grand Canyon. There's a bunch of places in the Grand Canyon you can't go. There are places in Africa you can't go. Some say they're connected. But there are all these places where you're not allowed to not only go to, but you're not allowed to go down. Just interesting, you know. But at the beginning of Us, it does mention that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of miles of connected systems, and that's just what, you know, is public. That's only the public information. It's likely, I mean, to be honest, we could be looking at like a mirrored as above, so below situation. That could be one of the fucking dozen things that Hermetic principle means, as above, so below. It doesn't just have to mean, you know, the heavens and earth. In fact, that's why it's a Hermetic principle, you know. It's definitely interesting, and oh man, I digressed really hard. My bad. I'm telling you the end of this movie and just somehow ended up there. Anyway, so she's still walking. They're in the forest, and as she's walking, they're looking at the screen to see, you know, what she sees, and they start to see not one but a line of these paralysis entities, you know, not on one side, even on both sides. So they're walking through kind of like a procession of these entities, and they're all obviously they're kind of leaning and staring at them. And as she walks through them, she sees like what to me looked kind of like, not a pyramid, but just a almost like an ancient structure, which kind of goes in line with a lot of the other imagery that was in not just her dreams, but, you know, the other participant dreams in this sleep study that she's in this movie. But what I keep thinking to myself is like, is this talking about another dimension? Like, are these paralysis entities, are they just on a different dimensional frequency and they're just around us at all times? And when we hit certain states in our sleep, it allows us to tune into that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you're giving up control and faculty of your brain when you go to sleep, you know? And so that allows for a lot of different potential things. manipulation from the outside, kind of chaotic, you know, chaotic activity from the inside. You know, a lot. And you know, that's I really do like talking to people about dreams if they can convey the entirety of it well and describe it well. If they just kind of tell you the story, it's not the same thing, you know, to be able to expound on the dream itself, but also explain in great detail, and maybe even to be able to like kind of break down what you think that was, not what I think it means, or not what you think it means, but what it actually was. Those are the best dream conversations. But they're few and far between, because most people are like, "Oh, what do you mean? It's a dream. That's what it was." It's like, okay, well, never mind. Anyway, so she's approaching this structure. One of them, they all hear a phone, and it turns out it's her phone that was stolen earlier in the movie. She says she claims she's never been to that spot before, so I thought that was interesting. The ending of the movie I will also share because it's significant to what I'm saying. The ending of the movie, she kind of like, oof. All right, so I guess I'm saying more about the movie than I thought. After they pick up the phone, they're walking back, and they start to hear leaves rustle. They look over into the darkness of the trees, and they see eyes start to open, the glowing eyes that these entities have. And so they start running, and the chick, not the main character, but the chick that's with them, gets snatched up and pulled back into the darkness. A few moments later, as they're running, he gets snatched up and pulled into the darkness. And then she's running, and she realizes, oh, I'm alone. And she just stops. And she turns around, looks. Obviously, they're gone. And the whole forest gets dark. And not all at one time, either. Seemingly like in sections. But pretty quickly. And she very suddenly comes to, and she's back in this dude's apartment. And they're fucking, but her thumbs are in his eyes. You know, she comes to, and she doesn't do that. Her thumbs are already in his eyes when she comes to. So, she's breathing hard. She's not hyperventilating, but she's breathing hard, like they were having sex. And you know, I didn't ask myself this question in the movie, but it's like, was she having that dream or that experience while they were doing that? Is a sidebar, but you get a very quick answer to that, actually. Because she's covered in blood. She pulls her thumbs out of his eyes. She's obviously like panicked and like, what the fuck is going on? What just happened? She goes to the bathroom for some reason and looks in the mirror, and starts to kind of freak out looking in the mirror. And then she hears a sound. It's a phone. She picks up the phone, which earlier in the movie was stolen. So it's very likely that it's the dude's phone just sitting on the toilet for some reason. And when she picks it up and looks at it, it's a text message. And the text message says that she's been in a coma for 20 years. And they're trying a new technique. And they don't know how the message is going to reach her in the dream. They don't know how it's going to get to her. They're just trying different stuff, which I thought was cool and interesting as a you know, a thing. And she reads it and kind of starts, she's like, what the fuck? And she puts the phone down, and she kind of starts, not frantically laughing, but she's like, you know, she's been through a lot, so she's laughing, but also kind of like freaked out. But also, she feels something in her mouth, opens her mouth up, and she has vampire teeth. And, you know, I think I might have said that backwards. I think the teeth thing might have come first and then the phone, or maybe she was looking at her teeth. I don't know. I don't know the order of it, but she has vampire teeth. And so this leads you as the viewer to be like, okay, so has this entire dream been a year or some years of her time, or is time going by as it does in the reality? But in any sense, she's got fucking vampire teeth, and she just plucked a dude's eyes out with her thumbs. You know, and it didn't show her like wake up. That's just what it starts to get repeated. And again, that's very close to, it's almost like a relative of that fear that I mentioned earlier, where, you know, how would you feel if you how would you feel if you somehow were made aware that you are in a dream? You know, and not the whole grandiose delusions of grandeur type stuff where it's like, you know, and I'll take back the delusions of grandeur, but just, you know, grandiose. Is there a word for that? For that as an adjective? Grandiose? I'm gonna make up a word. Grandiose. The concepts that beings like to share with each other, that we're in a dream, and that this is, you know, we came into it but on purpose so that we could like train and all this other stuff that's kind of unsubstantiated, or very unsubstantiated, not kind of. Is that potentially, you know, that's a potential for what this could be. I'm not going to ask the question. I think about that pretty regularly, and it's not something that can be disproven. So, for all we know, we're a bunch of beings walking around bumping into stuff because we can't actually like see or get out or whatever of whatever is going on. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting movie. I like it. Again, it's called Come True. It's a Shudder movie, and the concepts that are in the movie are very cool. I don't know. Dreams are always going to fascinate me because it's such a weird phenomena to actually happen. You just kind of become desensitized to it because you do it from a very young age. But the things that you're capable of doing, the places you're capable of going in dreams, and the things that you can do, they all resonate with me in a much different way than what it seems like the average being is describing. Yeah, there's stuff to it. And there's not really a good way to get definitive or objective answers on even the heavily scientific stuff. I think most of the time they fake it. You know, they say they know something or they say they understand something and they come up with a good narrative, but that's essentially writing a book, you know, like a fiction story. Coming up with how things work could be just as it is to create a fiction book or story. So I take everything with a grain of salt until I get some experience on it. Yeah, man, I don't think I have much more than that. But again, I do think there's a lot of technologies out there that we're unaware of, and I'm almost even wondering, like, are dreams just technology? Like, do we really know if we have those naturally? You get what I'm saying? I know that that's a kind of out there thought experiment or question or whatever, but it's legitimate. Any question or act having to do with dreams could be seen as not that, you know, not that big of a deal, I guess. It's, you know, and even if it was something where there's technologies that are creating the thing or manipulating the thing or whatever, obviously, you know, that's not something that's going to be found out or disclosed anytime soon. Unless they happen to let that out with the dream advertisement stuff. I am going to go look at patents, not right after this video or anything, but I'll remember to do that, because I'm almost positive that there's already some patents out having to do with dream manipulation and technology, right? Man, my kid's pet, or not pet, but his like toy cow is just like staring at me do this talk right now. It's kind of creepy. Yeah, yeah. I think there's always going to be more left when it comes to dreams, just generally speaking. Anyway, if you you know, like the stuff I talk about, or you've seen some of the other more hands-on experimentation that I do, or research that I do into simulation theory and all this other stuff that comes along with it, you could feel free to donate, you know, contribute to my research, to the projects that I'm working on. The link is, I'll put the link in the description. I think I'm just going to start doing that. It's not the me calling it shameless plugging and stuff. That's just me probably trying to self-sabotage or some stupid terminology that I don't know of. But yeah, the link's in the description. Also, if you want to send some dream stories, or if you have any recommendations or anything, you want to just reach out, gammaauobsidian@gmail.com. And same thing for the Instagram, gammaauobsidian. And so, I think I'm going to try to get a guest soon, who I've been interacting a lot. We're in the same discussion group, research group, Infinite Corridors. I'm going to try to either get him on or get on his show. Either way, I'm going to post it on this channel too. But be looking out for that too. But anyway, I still got another movie I have to watch, and my eyes are, I'm getting getting the thing, the vibrating thing, so, you know, whoever that is, you know, fuck you, dog. Yeah, but I love y'all, and hopefully you had a rad day, and you'll see me again soon. Bye.